Somebody else do it. So describe the state of the music industry in one word. Game. One word.
Keep it real.
You might have two.
It's cool.
It's cool.
Changing.
Amazing level. Yeah.
Trendy. All right, I like trendy. Why you say that?
See, I feel like what happened in the business, more than anything, is so much more content. Now, it's up to us to distinguish whether or not, or decide rather, whether or not this content is of substance or not. But what happens is, I always use this example, Allen Iverson to me was one of the greatest players of all time, but he had a very low shooting percentage. It's because he shot the ball so many times. So what happens in the music industry, so many trends occur, so many people are putting up shots, if you will, and what happens is our percentages are going down. But when you look at the quality artists, the Justin Timberlakes, you look at what Adele's doing, you look at what Beyonce's been able to do consistently, Jay-Z, Kanye West, Drake, Lil Wayne, so many artists, I feel like the same amount of artists are doing well. It's just so many artists that aren't doing well. So what happens is it looks like the music industry is in a horrible state. But I feel like the artists that matter are really selling the albums, and whenever the songs have the substance, they're doing well. But what happens is we've been overcompensated with so many trends and so many right now things that have taken the forefront in most people's eyes. But so in that sense, I really feel like it's trendy in that sense. You know,
what's the worst trend that's going on right now that you think?
The worst trend to me is the same drum sounds.
Tim, I want to talk about this with you, but I don't think that's for this panel. But I mean, I will go in. I don't think I'm supposed to talk about this, but I guess I will go ahead and say this. It is that, you know, they don't find the sounds like we do. They
don't explore.
That's what it is.
They just.
I mean, right I had the same conversation with everybody. It's like everybody record sounds like the 808. Yeah, just that's all people want to use now.
Yeah, it goes back to what Rico was saying. It's trendy. You know what I'm saying? You do something that works, then you know I guess I'll do the same thing. Maybe it works for me. You know, as far as having a bunch of artists that are not doing well and artists, you know, a certain amount of artists that are doing well, you could look at it like that. But to me, I feel like music, hip hop in general, has kind of shaped, you know, just music as a whole and provided so many more opportunities for so many more people. So I kind of look at it like that, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I say it's cool. As far as, you know, me and, you know, like what I grew up listening to, you know, wanting it to come back and, you know, missing the authenticity of everything, it's just not that right now. So you kind of got to become a chameleon and kind of blend in what it is, and you're going to get your ass left, you know? So.
I think a quality song can never die though. I think what happens is if you get caught up in trying to keep up, you lose. But one thing I can never stop being is me. So if I can perfect being me, and I can make the world to get the world to consistently love me, then no matter what I do, it's gonna be my take on it. So when you hear Jay-Z rap over a West Coast beat, he's still being Jay-Z over a West Coast beat. He's just giving his example of how he would approach that particular record. So I feel like so many times artists haven't given themselves, and labels and record companies haven't given artists the opportunity to establish who they truly are. So if you don't know who you are, how can you truly identify with an audience who's trying to figure out who you are when you're chasing what they saying?
I think you just nailed it on the head right there. There's so many people that have access to the internet. Anyone can make themselves. It's a lot harder to quiet the noise.
And for instance, I always tell artists this: when we make a record, if this sound is doing well right now, you never want to break your career on that sound. You know why? Because when that sound dies, you are associated with this sound only. I feel like when artists go against the grain and they just become great acts and they just put out the records that really matter and that's really true to them, it may be a longer journey. It may not be overnight. You may have to get dropped from a label. You may have to get re-signed. You may have to go indie. You may have to do a lot of things, but your story is real. And now, over time, you picked up so many fans. I look at Trey Songz, right? When Trey Songz started with Atlantic, he put out, what, 4 or 5 albums before he really broke. But they believed in him. They consistently, and every album, he would pick up more fans. So then when he dropped Infinite 6 and Say I, not only did the song blow up, but all of those fans that been with him from day one, they look like an army now. Because now with success, he looked that much stronger because he built the true core and the base. What happens now with record companies is they sign an act, they put out a record. If it doesn't do well, it's like they have amnesia. They forgot what made them fall in love with these acts that they signed. So they give up. Instead of saying, this didn't work, but let's try it this way. Let's put out the record on this dude. Let's put him in the studio with this. When Usher came out, it didn't work out all the way at the beginning with Puff. But then they said, all right, cool, we're going to sit him down with Shakespeare. All right, that didn't work out with Shakespeare. All right, cool, we're going to sit him down with JD. He got with JD and he blew up. But over that time, he developed a true following. Now, it's trendy. If the trend don't work right now, we're over it.
All right, so Rico, I see you long-winded over there, so I'm gonna give you.
I'm sorry,
I'm gonna give you.
He's passionate.
I'm gonna give you this question.
I'll keep
for
it
you.
brief.
I made this question for you. A lot of y'all don't know this, but I worked with Rico before he was the writer that y'all know. And my question is to you: what do you think was the difference from writing for yourself and people loving you writing for them? Because you was an artist that signed, basically, right?
Yeah.
You was on was you on the label?
I was signed to Us Records, a subsidiary of J Records. I was Usher's first artist back in 2003.
So
yeah.
just give us a real little, outline of what happened for you as an artist before that.
Yeah, what happened was I signed to Usher as a rap artist, and then I was touring with him, I was doing all those things, and then when he decided not to have the label anymore, he gave me the opportunity, first of all, to write a song. And the first song I've ever written in my career was a song called Throwback. It was featured on the Confessions album. And the album sold so many records to the point where my first check, and I'm not saying this in a braggadocious way, my first check was a 6-figure check. And that was the best and the worst thing that ever happened to me, because I thought that that's how the game worked. I didn't realize, bro, he just sold 30 million albums worldwide. That's why your check looked like that. So I really, it let me know that I had a gift, but it also kind of made me lazy, because I thought at that particular time, I felt like, oh, that's what happens. I'm gonna be getting these checks for the rest of my life. And I didn't realize the work that goes into it. So when the label thing didn't fall through, I was kind of like in a clusterfuck, if you will, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. I just felt like, I looked at JD, and I used to, not just because you're sitting here, JD would go to the studio every single day. And I was coming up under him in Jagged Edge, sleeping on these guys' floors in Atlanta for 3 years. And they got up and they went to the studio every single day. Every day. Some days they go in there and didn't even make a record, but they would be there, they would vibe out. And I just decided that if I want to ever make it, if I want to tap it into this ability, this newfound ability that I had to work that much harder. So I just kept writing songs, and then one hit turned to 2, and to 20, and to 25, you know what I mean? So what happens is I just kind of discovered who I was as a writer-producer, and in doing so I found out who I was as an artist,